Good evening, everyone. As we take a moment to recognize those that have been impactful in the lives of kids that have complex needs, it's important to shine a light on those needs so that we can continue to remain impactful figures in their lives today and in the future. I was such a kid with complex needs. Let's start with the first need, a home. At the age of 3 years old, I was introduced as a ward of the court and thrusted into the foster care system. I had been abandoned on a doorstep. My mother was young, and drugs and partying took precedent over caring for her child. Left on a doorstep on a hot summer's day, I was discovered after some time by a neighbor. It was my father's doorstep, however, and the neighbor let him know that I was outside. Unaware that my mother had left me on his doorstep, commotion ensued on their next encounter, and I, with no family to claim me from my neglectful parents, began my arduous journey into the foster care system. When you're stripped of everything you know at 3 years old, the world becomes extremely scary. You become angry and most of all, hurt. So now, I had a home with essentially strangers, but I was in their home scared and hurt and confused beyond belief. I can remember clearly being in my first foster home. It was with a couple in Haverstraw, New York, who happened to have 6 other foster kids, one of them whom was my sister. I was extremely excited to see my sister, who was 3 years older than me. I thought as long as I have her, everything would be all right. I quickly learned that everything was, in fact, not all right. Scars do remind us that the past is real. If I close my eyes, I can still feel the leather belt slicing to my flesh. I can see the flashlight being crushed on my sister's skull. I can hear the kids scream. I could hear the kids screaming in the hallway for fear of being hurt. Not only was I abused, so was my sister. I was without a place to call what I wanted in a home. I was full of anger and a new type of hurt, and I also was lacking what so many kids need, love. These necessities that were deprived from me early on created a monster in me. I was a fighter. I would fight over anything, and I was socially awkward. I hated everything about life at that point. I was only around 8 years old when I was sent to a different foster home in Hillsborough, New York. I had no trust in anyone at this point, and I watched my foster parents with a keen eye. They kept me and my sister together at this new foster home, which I was grateful for because, again, I was with strangers in a strange home. The one comfort outside of my sister that I had was school. It gave me a sense of normalcy and a sense of direction and an incredible amount of purpose. I loved the school. I hated the home. The foster parents wouldn't allow me to assimilate. Me and my sister had to eat at a separate table with separate plates. We had to endure the elements as we were not allowed inside to play. No matter the weather, we were constantly evicted from our so-called safe haven and told that we were to remain outside until she gave us the okay to come back in. I had enough. If she wanted me outside all the time, she was going to get her wish and then some. I ran away. I ran away from the lack of love. I ran away from the stress. I ran away from the hurt. I ran away and I never felt more at ease. Around the age of 12, I became a patient at RCPC, or Rockland Children's Psychiatric Center. Apparently, my shenanigans with running away and fighting got me a first-class ticket to the crazy house. I never believed I was crazy, but if people endured what I went through, don't they have the right to be? I never did believe I belonged there, and it became clear to some of the staff that I was a bit different than the typical patient. I'm not quite sure what took place behind the scenes, but I do know that 2 kind individuals came to visit me one day and explained that they worked at a place called Abbott House. Honestly, I was a bit skeptical. I was 13 at the time. I was skeptical because I had enough of the turmoil. They explained to me that they would visit about once a month and that I would speak to a psychiatrist and social worker about once a week. They also explained that I would have the opportunity to go to public school while being in Abbe House. While being in an Abbe House ran foster home. I was completely sold on the idea. I wanted stability, and I wanted normalcy, and I wanted to go to school. Those were things that I never had, and here were two people willing to give that to me if I agreed to be part of it. I quickly said yes. Abbott House had a group home and their foster care program when I was there. I entered my new foster home at 14 years of age, stayed there until I was 18. The support that I received from both my foster parents and Abbott House was amazing. I never had someone that simply said, "You can do it." I never had the encouragement and have someone sit down to listen to my concerns. I had that now, more than ever. I took full advantage of that. I quickly assimilated in the Yonkers public school system, where I played various sports, including track and field, where I excelled and constantly made it to the state sectional championships. I joined accelerated courses, including English and biology. I was no longer socially awkward and angry. I had friends for the first time. I won prom prince. And I was finally loving my life, thanks to the support and guidance from Abbott House and its programs. Together with Abbott House and its various programs, along with my academic makeup, I had managed to receive funds for a full scholarship to the University of Buffalo. It was a great accomplishment, and I had everyone in my corner rooting for me. I felt I was obligated, if you will, to succeed on the college level. I was an ambassador, I felt, for the foster children with no voice and or ability to get where I was at. Although I had a wonderful time with college experience, I quickly learned that college simply wasn't my path. I loved to learn, but between the workloads and time management, I learned that I wasn't prepared for the juggernaut that was college. I flunked out my sophomore year. In that moment in time, I began to worry. I worried about my future, and I feared that I would end up like so many others, homeless. I did mention that I loved to fight, though, and fight I did. I was not going to let my lack of ineptitude in college decide that I was not going to be successful. I had Abbott House rooting for me. I had my foster parents rooting for me. I had my friends rooting for me. And I had the self-confidence and the self-worth plus determination to not let them and myself down. I applied for many civil service jobs. Nothing ever came of them. My friends all worked at stores, and I figured I'll apply there. As long as I'm happy, I don't care how much money I make. Then I saw a newspaper article where I learned that the city of Yonkers was hiring firefighters. I thought I could never do that. Then my eyes met the salary. I quickly thought, I can do that. I've been a firefighter with the city of Yonkers for about 5 years, and it was the most courageous and best decision I've made with the support and friends and staff alike from Abbott House. Our foster children are so misunderstood. Many times I felt that people viewed me as damaged goods. It angered me to see celebrities and socialites alike adopting kids from third world countries. I mean, sure, they need a home, and their conditions are needed more so than mine, but here, right in our backyard, there's a need for homes. There's a need for love, programs, and support. There are many foster kids and adults with complex needs, including but not limited to developmental issues. They, like me, can get through this with help. We are not incompetent. We are not useless. We can and want to be productive citizens and loving family members. Help is always needed and wanted. You can single-handedly make an impact on the infrastructure of a foster child. Thank you, Abbott House, and guests for allowing me to share my story with you, and thank you for making a world of difference in my life and in the futures of so many. Thank you.